The rusty latch screeched, a sound that echoed through the silent night, sending shivers down Emily's spine. 12-year-old Emily's heart pounded like a drum in her chest, each beat a reminder of the danger she was escaping from. Moonlight spilled through the small window, illuminating the dilapidated shed she'd called her prison for days. The pale light cast eerie shadows on the walls, making the place seem even more sinister. Her tiny hand, raw and scratched, finally yanked the rotting wood plank aside. The wood splintered under her grip, but she didn't care. She had to get out. She squeezed through the opening, ignoring the splinters biting into her skin. Each movement was a struggle, but the thought of freedom pushed her forward. Freedom. It tasted like the crisp night air and smelled of damp earth. The sensation was almost overwhelming after days of confinement. She didn't dare look back at the house shrouded in shadows. She just ran, her legs pumping furiously as if they had a mind of their own. Emily's bare feet slapped against the pavement, each step fueled by terror and adrenaline. The cold ground stung, but she welcomed the pain. It meant she was alive. The houses, cloaked in darkness, blurred into a menacing parade. Each shadow seemed to reach out, trying to pull her back into the nightmare she was fleeing. Reaching the familiar oak tree at the edge of their property, she dared a glance over her shoulder. The tree had always been her sanctuary, a place of comfort and safety. No movement, no sound except for her ragged breathing. The silence was deafening, but it also meant she was alone, at least for now. She had to keep moving, had to tell someone, had to save them. The urgency in her steps grew, fueled by the thought of those still trapped. She couldn't let fear paralyze her. Not now, not when so much was at stake. Emily's escape was just the tip of a horrifying iceberg. Her desperate flight was a cry for help, a plea for salvation from a life that had been nothing short of a living nightmare. Inside the seemingly ordinary suburban home on Maple Street, a nightmare lurked. To the outside world, the Williams family appeared to be the epitome of normalcy, but behind closed doors, a dark and sinister reality unfolded. For years, Emily and her younger siblings, 8-year-old Ethan and 6-year-old Lily, endured unspeakable cruelty at the hands of their own parents, Daniel and Lisa Williams. The siblings clung to each other for comfort, their bond the only source of solace in their bleak existence. The children were prisoners in their own home. They were confined to their rooms for days on end, the windows barred to prevent any chance of escape. The walls of their prison echoed with their silent cries for freedom. Their days were filled with hunger, filth, and unimaginable abuse. The rooms they were forced to live in were squalid, with dirt and grime covering every surface. The stench of neglect was overpowering. Food, when they received it, was meager and often spoiled. The children would stare at the rotten food, their stomachs churning with hunger and revulsion. Mealtime was a cruel joke, a reminder of their parents' disdain. Bath time was non-existent, their bodies covered in dirt and sores. The children's skin itched and burned, the filth a constant reminder of their parents' neglect. Hygiene was a luxury they could only dream of. The children bore the physical and emotional scars of their parents' rage. Each scar told a story of pain and suffering, a testament to the horrors they had endured. Their tear-streaked faces were a haunting sight. Bruises bloomed on their fragile skin like grotesque flowers. The marks of abuse were ever present, a grim reminder of their parents' cruelty. Each bruise was a symbol of their ongoing torment. Their spirits, once bright and full of life, were slowly being crushed under the weight of their parents' cruelty. The light in their eyes dimmed, replaced by a look of defeat and hopelessness. The children's laughter had long been silenced, replaced by a pervasive sense of dread. Panic seized Emily as she pounded on Mrs. Peterson's door, her thin nightgown flapping in the wind. The kind elderly neighbor, her face etched with concern, ushered her inside. The call to 911 was immediate and urgent. Within minutes, the flashing lights of police cars sliced through the pre-dawn darkness on Maple Street. The officers, their faces grim, entered the house of horrors. They were met by a stench so foul it made their eyes water. The interior was a disaster zone. Dirty dishes overflowed from the sink, flies buzzed around rotting food, and the floor was littered with debris. In a darkened room, they found Ethan and Lily huddled together on a bare mattress, their eyes wide with fear. The arrest of Daniel and Lisa Williams sent shockwaves through the quiet community. Neighbors watched in disbelief as the seemingly ordinary couple, their faces impassive, were led away in handcuffs. The charges against them were chilling aggravated child abuse, neglect, and unlawful imprisonment. The news spread like wildfire. How could this happen in their midst? How could no one have known the horrors that unfolded behind the closed doors of that seemingly normal house on Maple Street? The community grappled with guilt and disbelief. Their perfect suburban bubble burst by the darkness that had festered within it. Section 5. Whispers and Shock. The Community Reels. Maple Street, once a picture of suburban tranquility, was transformed. Gone were the friendly waves and neighborhood barbecues. In their place, hushed whispers and judgment filled the air. Neighbors, once oblivious, now questioned everything. Had they missed the signs? Could they have done something, anything, to prevent this nightmare? The Williams house stood as a stark reminder of the horrors that had unfolded within its walls. It became a symbol of the dark underbelly of suburbia, a chilling reminder that evil could lurk even in the most unexpected of places. The community struggled to reconcile the picture-perfect facade with the monstrous truth. Section 6. Scars and Healing. The Long Road to Recovery. Emily, Ethan, and Lily were taken to the safety of a local hospital, their small bodies bearing the weight of unimaginable trauma. Doctors and nurses worked tirelessly to mend their physical wounds, but the emotional scars ran deep. They were placed in foster care, their eyes reflecting the terror they had endured. The road to recovery was long and arduous. Therapy sessions became their battleground, a space to confront their demons and reclaim their shattered childhoods. The children, robbed of their innocence, faced an uphill battle. Yet, even in the darkest of times, their resilience flickered like a fragile flame. Section 7. Behind Bars, the Trial and Sentencing. The trial of Daniel and Lisa Williams was a media spectacle. The courtroom packed with reporters, curious onlookers, and outraged community members. The prosecution presented a damning case, detailing the horrific abuse and neglect the children had suffered. The defense argued that the parents were battling their own demons, their actions fueled by mental illness. In the end, the jury was unconvinced. Daniel and Lisa Williams were found guilty on all counts. The judge, his voice heavy with emotion, sentenced them to lengthy prison terms. Justice, though it could never erase the trauma, had prevailed. The children, now safe from their abusers, could finally begin to heal. Section 8. Emily's Triumph, a beacon of courage. Emily's escape, an act of extraordinary bravery, not only saved herself, but also her younger siblings. Her courage, her unwavering determination to break free and seek help, shone a light into the darkness that had imprisoned them. Her actions served as a stark reminder that even in the face of unimaginable adversity, hope can prevail. Emily's story resonated far beyond the confines of Maple Street. She became a symbol of resilience, a beacon of hope for other children trapped in abusive homes. Her story served as a powerful reminder that silence is never the answer, that speaking out can shatter the chains of abuse and bring hope to the hopeless. Section 9. Reflections on Maple Street. Lessons from a Nightmare. The events that transpired on this seemingly peaceful street have left an indelible mark on the hearts and minds of its residents. The nightmare on Maple Street left an indelible mark on the community. It was a wake-up call, a harsh reminder that even the most serene places can harbor unspeakable horrors. It forced people to confront the uncomfortable truth that evil could lurk behind the veneer of normalcy, that the familiar faces they saw every day could hide dark secrets, that even in seemingly idyllic neighborhoods, darkness could fester. The picturesque streets and well-kept lawns could no longer mask the underlying shadows. The community, forever changed, vowed to be more vigilant, to look beyond the surface and reach out to those in need. They realized that complacency could no longer be an option. To look beyond the surface and reach out to those in need. They began to understand the importance of fostering a supportive environment where everyone felt safe to speak up. The tragedy on Maple Street served as a stark reminder that child abuse thrives in silence. It underscored the necessity of vigilance and the courage to intervene. It highlighted the importance of awareness, of being attuned to the signs of distress and not turning a blind eye. The community launched awareness campaigns to educate everyone about the signs of abuse, the need for communities to come together to protect their most vulnerable members. They organized vigils and support groups, creating a network of care and vigilance. The story of Emily and her siblings, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, became a beacon of hope. Their courage inspired others to share their stories and seek help, became a call to action, a rallying cry for the community to stand united against such atrocities. They held rallies and marches, demanding justice and systemic changes, a reminder that everyone has a role to play in preventing such tragedies from happening again. The community's collective resolve became stronger, and they pledged to protect each other, ensuring that no one would have to suffer in silence again.